What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be talking to you about my 5 biggest tips when it comes to going in and interviewing for a dance teacher position. In the last decade, I have been through so many different interview processes for dance teacher positions, and I've been offered the job nearly every time. I just say that to say you're in good hands. Now, there are a lot of different types of dance teacher positions out there. There are studio dance teachers, there are K through 12 dance teachers, there are community center dance teachers. These tips are going to be applicable regardless of the type of position you're interviewing for. Let's get right down to it with number 1. Do not show up to an interview having done no research on the studio, school, whatever the workplace is. Not all dance studios are the same. Not all dance teacher positions are the same. You want to go in knowing what their mission is, what types of classes they offer, what types of students they may have there, what their class schedule looks like, also who works there. I always look through the faculty bios, especially the person I'm doing the interview with. I want to go into the interview knowing some information on them. Look at their website, go through their social media. You want to do this for one of 2 reasons. Number 1, if you know what they're about, then you're going to have a better idea of what they're looking for in a teacher, and therefore you're going to be more prepared to speak to your strengths and skills that are relevant to them. Also, doing your research shows the person interviewing you that you're serious about the job. You show up to things prepared. That is such an important quality in a teacher. If I was interviewing someone for a job and they didn't take just 15 minutes to familiarize themselves with myself or with my business, I would be like, yeah, they're not that interested. The conversation is just going to flow better if you're more informed. Plus, you're also going to have a better idea of what questions you're wanting to ask them. But more on that later. Number 2 is all about mindset. So, interviewing can definitely be very nerve wracking. We really want to go in, do a good job. We're speaking to someone who's probably a stranger. We want to appear confident and well spoken. However, the interview is not just for the employer to decide if they want to hire you. They also need to show you that you actually want to work there. I always go into interviews with the mindset of, okay, I'm going in to figure out if this job is also a good fit for me. I know what I'm looking for in a workplace. I know what my green flags are. I know what my red flags are. So, this is something that you're going to want to put some thought into beforehand. And it's also something that you get better at, that you learn more about as you get more experience. But framing it this way in your head, as well as thinking about the interview as simply a conversation, is going to help lessen the anxiety that you might be feeling. Number 3, you're going to want to be ready to answer questions about your approach to teaching and your teaching philosophy. That, in short, means what you teach, how you teach it, why you teach it. Essentially, what your values and methods are. Beyond your qualifications, it's your opportunity to demonstrate how you would fit into the studio's culture and how you connect with students. It also shows that you are very self aware and that you make intentional decisions about what you do. I'm gonna be so real. I feel like most dance teachers don't put enough thought into this. I certainly didn't when I was first starting. I remember being in one of my first interviews and the person asked me, "How would you describe your teaching style?" And I was like, uh, this is just not really something that we learn how to do. Thinking back, like as dancers, most of us didn't grow up really communicating with words about our work, our art, our processes, but it's something that we have to learn how to do so that we can market ourselves and get jobs and opportunities. For teaching specifically, you have to be able to speak to what you teach, why you teach it, how you teach it, and what sets you apart from others. If you can't talk about that, articulate it, what does that say about your ability to effectively communicate with your students? Your teaching philosophy is something that you can put thought into, even if you don't have a ton of experience teaching yet. And it's definitely something that is going to evolve over time. Developing a dance teacher philosophy is something that I teach in the Dance Teacher Intensive, which is my online teacher training program, just FYI. I know this might be controversial or old school of me, but I do not believe in initiating a conversation about pay on the first interview. because it's not relevant yet. Pay isn't relevant until the employer knows that they actually want to hire you. They don't know if they want to hire you at the very beginning. That's what the interview is for you both to get to know each other and see if it could be a good fit. If the interviewer decides, wow, this person is great, I want them at my studio, well, now you can walk into the pay conversation with more negotiating power because they know they want you. Now, if the interviewer straight up asks you, what's your hourly rate? Then yes, obviously you can talk about it, but don't lock yourself into a number. I always give a range. So my hourly rate typically ranges between X and Y, but I like to have a really solid understanding of the position before I set my rate. My teaching rates vary depending on factors like commute time, how much time I'll have to spend outside of the studio, and how many hours they're offering me. If they're only offering me 2 hours in one night and the studio is 45 minutes away, yeah, my hourly rate's gonna be a little bit higher to make that worth it. So, again, have an idea of your range, but don't give them a number until you have all of the information and time to think it over without the pressure of being right across from them. Okay, we're on the last one, asking questions. Asking questions in an interview is just as important as answering them. It demonstrates that you are genuinely interested in the position and that you have taken the time to really consider how you would contribute to the studio school workplace. It also helps you understand if the workplace is a good fit for you by giving you more insight into what it might be like to actually work there. This is your chance to get clarity on anything that is important to you, such as, classroom management policies or if there are any opportunities for professional growth there. I always like to ask in an interview if there are any opportunities for teachers beyond, normal classes such as choreography or private lessons to kind of get a gauge on that. I'll also ask what their procedures are for handling any issues that arise and communication between parents, studios, and staff so that I can kind of get an idea of how organized they are. Again, you want to know what your green flags are, what your red flags are. Coming prepared with questions shifts the dynamic of the interview from being one sided to a conversation, making you more invested in not just landing the job, but also finding the right place for you to grow as a teacher. And that's a wrap on my top 5 tips for interviewing. As I mentioned before, I teach a lot more about applying to dance teacher positions, things like negotiating pay, setting your rate, and lots more dance pedagogy, classroom management in the Dance Teacher Intensive, which is my online teacher training program. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for all of the dance teacher content. Bye!